Hello everyone, welcome to Udan. My name is Vishrup and I am here with my friend Devis is from NITIA. Today we will be presenting our second part of lecture series. So previously we have dealt with basic aircraft component and in today's lecture we will be discussing about design terminology of an aircraft. Okay, so stick with us and hope you guys will enjoy it.
So, what according to you guys forms the basis of flying an aircraft? Of course, it's wings. Okay, so but wings themselves have a special cross-sectional area, and that shape of that cross-section is called aerofoil. So here we have come with our first topic, aerofoil terminologies.
Here we have given a technical definition of an aerofoil you can go through. There are two types of aerofoils, symmetrical and asymmetrical. Asymmetrical aerofoils are also called camber airfoils. Here we have given you a cambered aerofoil, NACA 6412. There are some other examples like DA231 and NACA 4412. So let's go to next slide. So here's our next slide. So this is our camber line. This is our chord line. So what is chord line? So the distance between leading edge and trailing edge is chord line. And what is angle of attack? Angle of attack is nothing but the angle between the chord line and relative edge. Okay, what is angle of attack? Angle of attack is angle between chord line and relative edge. Okay, so camber line is same as chord line in case of symmetrical aerofoils. You can guess how. So here's our next slide. So here we have given you a top view of a wing. You can see here. So this length, this chord length is tip chord, and here this is root chord. This is called root chord, and this distance from one tip to another is called span.
So what is so special about this aerofoil shape? How does this shape generates lift? So here we have given a theory which most of you might be knowing from your previous studies, which actually states that the air above the aerofoil has a higher speed than the air below it. So in accordance with Bernoulli's theorem, the pressure above the aerofoil is lower than the pressure below it. So this pressure difference generates a lift which is in vertically upward direction. So let us tell you guys that this theory is not so true, because here we have taken a wrong assumption that the number of particles that entered an open system is exactly equal to the number of particles that exited the system.
So what do you guys think will be the actual lift theory? So before going to that, let's discuss one more topic. This is Quanda effect we have given here. So what is this Quanda effect? So according to this, fluid particles used to stick around the curved solid surface. You can see here like this. Most of you guys may have seen this effect in your day-to-day life while washing your hand. You guys have seen that water particles used to stick around your hand and then water droplets fall from your elbow. So that's what Quanda effect is. Okay, so now here actual lift theory you can see here. This is our air particles and this is our aerofoil surface. So air particles used to stick around our aerofoil. Aerofoil is basically just turning our flow of air. Okay, so lift occurs when the moving flow of gas or fluid is turned by a solid object. The flow is turned in one direction and the lift is generated in exactly opposite direction, according to Newton's third law.
So up to now, you guys have already seen how lift is generated. So now let's discuss where should this lift force act. Okay, before coming to this topic, I want you guys to know about 2 points, CG and CP. CG is called center of gravity. I hope you guys might be already aware of this term. And CP is called center of pressure, where the net aerodynamic force acts. Okay, so what actually happens here is these two forces, the weight and the aerodynamic force, generates a torque. So while fabrication, we try to balance the torque produced by these two forces. So we design a plane such that the torque produced by these two forces is balanced by another force. Here you can see the net torque about CG is 0. So how do we estimate the lift force? For that we need lift equation, which states that L is equals to CL rho V square A upon 2. Here L is the lift force, CL is called coefficient of lift, rho is the density of fluid, V is the velocity, A is the wing area. Okay. So what is CL? CL is called the coefficient of lift, which depends on the Reynolds number and the aerofoil shape. Similar to which is the drag equation, which states that the drag force, here Fd is the drag force, is equal to the rho A CD V square by 2. Here CD is called the coefficient of drag, which again depends on Reynolds number and the aerofoil shape.
Now let's discuss about dihedral angle. Most of you guys have seen dihedral angle in passenger planes. Let me show you. So this is our passenger plane. You can see that our wings are bit upward in direction from the horizontal level. Okay, so this is our dihedral angle. So there is a definition here. You can pause the video and read it. So let's discuss dihedral effect and how it works. So dihedral angle gives our plane a roll stability. As you can see here, this is our plane in relevance with our aircraft. So you can see that our wings are bit upward in direction. So this angle is our dihedral angle, and this is our plane, horizontal plane. You can see here. So in case of right wing, you can see that this angle is lesser in compared to this one from the horizontal plane. Okay, from the horizontal plane, you can see that this angle is greater in compared to this one. So what will happen? You can see that area vector of this wing, right wing, is greater in component in vertical direction in compared to left wing. Okay, again, the area vector of right wing has a greater component in vertical direction in compared to the left wing. So what will happen? The left will increase in right wing, which will cause a restoring torque. This will cause a restoring torque and move our plane in its normal position.
So this was everything about roll stability. Now let's come to yaw stability. For yaw stability, we use swept wing. Swept wing or swept angle creates yaw stability. Now suppose your plane yaws in left direction. Then the cross section surface facing the main streamline flow will increase on the right wing, which will cause more drag on the right wing, and our aircraft will ultimately revert back to its normal position. Here we have plotted a graph between lift and angle of attack, and we have considered two planes, one with a straight wing and another with a swept wing. Here you can observe that the aircraft with a swept wing gives us a higher stall angle. Here you can see, but also it gives the lesser lift than the plane with the straight wing.
Here we have given aspect ratio. Aspect ratio of a wing is the ratio of its span to its mean chord. So in case of glider, they have very high aspect ratio, and in case of fighter planes, they have very low aspect ratio. As we increase aspect ratio, lift to drag ratio increases. Okay, so how it increases? So in case of higher aspect ratio plane, the vortex created at the tip of the wing is lesser in compared to the lower aspect ratio plane. And one more thing that as we increase aspect ratio, the maneuvering of our plane decreases. So you can see here, this is our glider. Our glider, you can see that they have very large wings, and this is our fighter plane and having a very lower aspect ratio because fighter planes need to take sharp turns. And one more factor why we don't use higher aspect ratio wings, because higher aspect ratio wings are not cost efficient and they are harder to manufacture. So that's all for this lecture. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you.